Thank you for attending our webinar today with Steady. We're going to be talking about working from home and the benefits and challenges and changes this brings to many of us. I'm hoping that a lot of the information that I give and provide will help you to be better and do a much better job at your job, and that there are some benefits that really you could come out with and make things better. Would you mind quickly just letting me know through chat that you can all hear me okay? That'd be very helpful at this point because I'm muted everyone, but if you could just chat really quickly and tell me that you can hear me, that'd be great. Awesome. Great. Thank you. Thank you very much. Well, let's go ahead and start. This webinar will be on our website, steady.org/webinars, and as well as the PDF of the document as well. There'll be quite a few links in here. And so don't worry if I kind of roll over these things quickly. You'll be able to access them all after we're done and when it's posted up on our website. So we'll go and get started. Just as a way of introduction, my name is Sam Brand. I'm the VP of Sales and Marketing for Steady.org. I've been married for 20 years to my lovely wife, Erin. We have 6 kids, all of which are in secondary education right now. We have a daughter who's a senior in high school and truly not loving right now what's going on in America. She really had a lot of plans and was doing a lot of great things, and trying to adjust to this like everyone else is. I live here in Logan, Utah. Live in a little town actually south of that. I have 20 years of experience in sales and marketing and business development, working in lots of different sectors and verticals within business. But the thing that's most about me and why it pertains to this today is I've literally spent 50% or more of my time working from home, working from a home office. And so why that matters is simply because I know it works. I know it doesn't work. I've done it for so long. I've made many mistakes. I've had lots of successes. So I thought we could do this webinar to help those who've never done it before, and even those who have done it somewhat. But for those who haven't, there's a lot of newness and a lot of changes that have to happen. And so we'll kind of go over that kind of stuff. So if you look at remote working from home, you do a Google search, you'll find a lot of stuff right now because it is all over. There's a lot of information people are trying to gather for those who have not done it before. It's challenging, it's confusing. And so what I've done is I've gone out there and just looked at a lot of information that's out on the web, including all the information and experience that I have, and kind of compiled this webinar today for you. So you may hear some things, some duplicate things that you may have read or seen, and I apologize for that. I'm just trying to give a better understanding for everyone. I wanted to give you a little background in terms of remote working and how remote working can be a really good thing for companies. In China, there's a company called C-Trip, and they're the largest travel agency in China. They have 20,000 employees, but the problem they had is that the property is really expensive, and so they were trying to figure out a way to reduce cost. One way they thought of was having some of the workers go home and work from home. So they had a group of 500 employees. They split them in half. Half of them came to work, and the other stayed home and worked from home. And they tracked that for 2 years. But for the first 6 months, they found some really significant things that happened. The first thing they found was that the performance of the employees that were working from home, they had a 13% more output. So they were able to perform better at home. The second is that their quit rates were dropped by half. And for many HR specialists, it's a good thing to know that there's a slight little thing that could be done for that to help minimize the amount of turnover that there is. And the third thing is that over time, it actually doubled the impact for the organization. Now, I'm not giving the case for any of you, all of you, to say, hey, school district, I want to work from home now because Sam says it's better for me. That's not what I mean. What I'm saying is there are some benefits while you're home during this time. You will find some benefits. There are some challenges too, but you'll find benefits that you can count on and that can help you. So again, the research has shown that employees are more productive when they work from home. There's less employee attrition, and organizations can save money. This company ended up saving about $2,000 per employee over the year, and so it was a significant change and savings for them. So let's talk about what it is to be home, what it is to start working from a place you've never worked before. Kind of without saying, but I feel like I need to say it anyways. The equipment that you need to make sure you're ready to go. You need to make sure you have your computer, you have Wi-Fi, you have your desk, you have your chair, filing cabinet. You make sure you have all the stuff that you need. I know in our district they were providing kids with some laptops and other things they could use to do remote schoolwork. And I only put a question on there. Is the district, are they providing anything for you? I don't really know, but I do have a real quick question for you. I just want to ask, how many of you are actually working from home today? If you could go ahead and vote on that, that'd be great. I myself am home today and doing this webinar, which is kind of fun. But traditionally I try and be in the office as much as I possibly can, but I understand that not everyone is, but the results are pretty neat actually to see how this is going. So just a few more. If there anyone else who wants to answer this poll, I'm going to close it here in just a second. So there's the results. For a majority of us are working from home today, which is kind of what I'd expect for people who want to be on this webinar. So that's actually great. Let's move on to some of the space you have. So one of the questions, or one of the things that's really important, is finding a quiet space for you to work. I'm sure some of you have children at home, spouse at home, partner at home, and trying to find a place where you can work without distraction is kind of difficult. But it is something that's really important to do, is to find the space that you need to be able to work efficiently throughout the day. So I've worked, I've honestly worked everywhere in my home. I've worked in the living room, the dining room, the kitchen, my office. I've worked on my car. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've been on my car doing work. So there's lots of places that you find it comfortable for you, and that'll help out a lot for you. So so the other thing is make sure when you are home that you keep your space clean. Before I wanted to show you, this is my office, not today. My office is quite clean right now, but it gets kind of messy sometimes, right? So really it's important that you keep a clean office space for you to do your work, right? As many of you have, your desk is a place where you have a lot of stuff that needs to be there. And so make sure it's clear of clutter, and it helps to concentrate and be productive at work. The other thing too is from home, make sure you have access to all of your accounts, all of your user IDs and passwords, and that's going to be very helpful. The other thing is your programs. So many of you maybe started a while ago working from home, and you may have found out that you didn't have access to some things that you normally do at the office. And so you found that it's important to try and figure out how to get access to that information. And so probably my guess is the district is giving you some kind of VPN, some kind of access to that data. The only thing I would say is make sure you keep it safe, right? So how, I do have one question. I'm going to launch another poll. It kind of goes back to what we were talking about, was the you guys can vote on this. What do you have all the equipment you need in at home? Do you have a computer? Do you have a desk? Do you have internet? Do you have a mouse, keyboard, that kind of stuff? Right? I just want to know that you guys are having what you need. And I think it's important for districts to be able to see this kind of information to kind of know what they can do. If there's anything they can do to help out, they can. And so I'm just quite interested to see if everyone feels like they have what they need at the
Sam,
um,
one of our comments is that it's a complaint with the counterparts that they don't have access to shared drives.
yeah, and that is a hard thing. It's kind of why I asked, because there's a lot of information that's out there. So one thing I would suggest is talk to the district and ask them if there's a way to share it through Google or through some other way. But that is a challenge when you don't have access to it. So I bring it up because I know it's there, I know it exists, and do what you can to make it possible to have the information. So Pam suggested putting it on a disk drive, right? I do have an external hard drive. It's a 4 terabyte external hard drive. It only costs like $70 on Amazon. So you may want to buy something that you can, pull the information from your computer at work and bring it to your home. Just make sure, I will say one thing, just make sure if you are pulling data from your office that your manager knows, that the IT guy, whatever the process is for taking information, make sure you follow that closely and do it in the right way according to what your district or your organization requires. So this one, so we will find that 57% of all of you feel like you have the equipment you need. 70% don't, and then the other 30 are working on it, which is great. There's a lot of things that you do need. So I imagine that there was going to be some of that too. So that's really good to know. The how to be successful. So I've had lots of questions. Kind of printed out a sheet for a lot of questions. Some of the questions we had was how are you successful? How can you be successful in your home? And there's a few things that I think are really important. And there's a lot of training you can do and you can research on this. So I'm not going to take a ton of time, but I'm going to talk about it because I think it's really vital, important for you, is make sure you're setting goals. Make sure you're setting things that you're trying to do on a daily basis, trying to make sure that you accomplish those things frequently. The important thing about setting goals, though, is the best way to set goals is not to do it on the morning of. It would really be best to start like Monday morning, say, these are the things I want to accomplish throughout the week. And then you allocate yourself time throughout the week to get all those things done. When you're tracking your goals, you can see that the things are getting done and accomplished. So I would definitely use something, whether it's Excel or a piece of paper and pen. Honestly, do something that you can see, that you can check things off, that you can see that you're progressing, that things are getting accomplished. And also make sure you're protecting your time. This is a really important part about working from home. I had to, before I started this morning, before we started this webinar, my little boy Aiden, he is 8 years old and doesn't understand daddy working at home means that don't bother daddy working at home. And so he comes in, every once in a while, just comes in and I'll be on a call or whatever. And he came in literally right before we started and started chatting. He had a thing of garbage, big garbage sack, and his mouth was taped with duct tape. And I'm like, what are you doing? And he's trying to tell me what I was doing and what he was doing, and I had no idea. I said, just go talk to mom and have her help you. So there are distractions, right? And that's important to understand, that you are going to have them. So don't get frustrated by them. But one thing I've done when I'm working is my family knows to not bother me. They know that I'm working, I'm here, though I'm in the home, I'm still working in my office. And so I really don't get bothered too often with anyone. It's pretty nice because they really respect that. The other thing about setting goals. So setting goals, I think it's really important. Let me see if I do have a goal. I have a question for you. I want to ask, do you guys set goals throughout the week? And I'm not saying that if you do, you're great. If you don't, you're not. That's not what I mean. There are benefits to it, of course, but that's not everyone's style. So I understand that. But if you feel like you would like to, and you see some benefit of setting goals, and we'll talk about some of that here, then I would suggest doing it. And you don't have to go really crazy with it. You can start simple and get a piece of paper and pen and write down some of the things you want to do and just check them off. So there are some simple things to do, but I can definitely say there are some benefits to doing it. So Kathy says the district sets up needs and I make goals to complete those needs. That's exactly right. So a lot of times you're asked to do a task, but they're not going to tell you all the details of that task, right? They're going to expect you to do the job. So I can totally see that. That makes a lot of sense. I'm going to end the poll and share those results with you. So most of you are used to setting goals. Most of you like doing it, and that's very helpful. Sometimes I think a lot of us fall into the sometimes where we get over inundated with information and things to do, and we just try and get them all done. Let's talk a little bit about that. 65% of people who actively are trying to get better set are trying to set goals, right? They're trying to do that on a regular basis. Most people set an average of 4 goals per day, 4 tasks they want to accomplish every day, and that's about right. More than that is probably too much, especially because most of these things take a while to get done. 50% of people use digital to-do lists, and I'll have another slide to show you some of those, while 30% stick to pen and paper for writing down their goals. Sometimes it's just simple, right? Some people want to be simple, and that's great. So we suggest whatever works for you is what you should do. 1/3 of people ever hit 50% of their daily goals. So when you set a goal of 4 tasks to do, you're only going to hit probably 2 of them on an average, right? And then no one who wrote down their goals in the morning said they hit all their daily goals. So that goes back to why you set goals beforehand, not necessarily the day of. Now there are things that happen. Someone's gonna, call you or email you at home and they're gonna say, hey, we need you to do these things and these are priority, please get them done quickly. That's different, right? That's not a goal, that's not something you're planning on. That's it's an immediate need that has to be met. Again, the last one is people who set their goals in advance hit them 11% more of the time. And so that's a telling thing, right? You set goals, you set objectives, and you're more likely to get them done when you set them. So here's some tracking software. I think I've used all but Monday. Well, I think I even used monday.org or .com. So all of these have different strengths and weaknesses to them. I'm not going to go into that. Again, these are hyperlinks here. So when you get these, you'll be able to access those and do your own research. They do cost money. For me, I've stuck with, not now, I have a different way of tracking things for a lot of different things I do, but mainly the Excel is a project I use quite frequently, and it's, for most of us, it's probably free through the school district. So that's a good way to use things. So
Sam, one of
yeah,
the comments says that they don't have access to some of those links because the computers are district issued and it limits what they can do with them.
so that's a great question. That's a great concern. What I would do is talk to your district and tell them, again, Excel is a great thing, and most computers would probably take Excel, but I would call your district and speak with them about that and let them know of your needs that you have while you're at home, and see if there are some ways they can work with you on getting access to some of those programs that you need. But I definitely work with them. I wouldn't try and do things on your own. Sometimes it gets you kind of forget that you're working for someone when you're at home at times. So make sure you're just following protocol, right? But you can always ask, and there may be some options for you for that. protecting your time, this kind of goes back a little bit what we said before, but there's some real key components to things that can help you. Um, the setting boundaries for yourself is a really imperative part, and making sure that you have certain availability and that your time that you're working is scheduled. So when you set boundaries in your calendar, you can block out time throughout the day. Um, if you set yourself 2 hours kind of blocks to get things done, that really helps quite a bit. Um, and that's kind of the recommendation when you're trying to create a time frame for you to get your tasks done. Block them out in 2 hour increments. And you can set them up, 2 hours throughout the entire week. You could do it, 10, 20 different times, right? Um, and then make sure you're blocking out time to complete tasks. So if you have something particularly you need to focus on, get in your calendar and say, I'm going to work on this project right now. And you give yourself an hour or two, whatever. That's a great thing to do. Um, the the other one is, from being working from home, you're going to feel like you're going to have a lot of time to just kind of relax. But you'll probably quickly learn that you don't want to necessarily, because there are people who are expecting results from you. But it is important to take breaks. Breaks are vitally important. In fact, remote workers, and research has shown remote workers take more breaks at home than they do at work. And that's fantastic, right? But the other thing is, research also shows that remote workers work 10 minutes more a day than their counterparts at the office. Even though they take more breaks, they actually get more work done throughout the day. And so take advantage of it. Make sure you're taking breaks. It doesn't mean taking, hour-long breaks, but just take a break. When you have to, just disengage, just stand up, go get a snack, go get a drink, wash your face off, whatever, and take a break and come back. Um, the other thing is protecting your time is meetings. You even though you're remote work, you still probably have some meetings that the district has or your organization has. So make sure that you're only attending those meetings that you have to attend. If a coworker wants to get on get on a web call with you and talk about sports or something, make sure you kind of protect that time. That it's not something you're just kind of wasting, but go to meetings that you need to go to only. And it's okay just to tell your coworkers no. It's really okay. Um, and a lot of times you don't want to because you're by yourself, and that's fine. And I'm not saying not to talk to coworkers. That's not at all what I mean. What I mean is just make sure you're protecting your time, that you're getting your tasks done. And then if you want to schedule some calls with them, to do things, that's great. And that's not a problem at all. So the purpose of all this is really, when you're working at home, is to be productive. The best way to be productive is by doing a lot of the things we've been talking about. When this is kind of what I was talking about before, remote workers who have longer breaks but are more productive at home, they again, they're more productive, more than 10 minutes each day than their counterparts. What that does is it adds up to about 1.4 days each month, which adds up to about 3 weeks annually for more productivity for the organization. It doesn't mean you work more than 8 hours. That's not what I mean. What I mean is you are just taking advantage of the time. You're taking more advantage of the time to get work done, to be more productive. Um, work Office workers, 29% of them struggle with work-life balance. And that's a research. It's kind of all over there. But working from home has given people that balance, right, in their life, that they can still be productive, as the data shows, still be productive, but now you have a work-life balance. So like when your spouse needs you, your kids need you, or whatever, you can take a break, when it's appropriate, you can take a break to help out and do whatever and go back, and you're still being more productive than your counterparts normally. Again, it's just research, and I don't mean to say that your counterparts aren't doing their job. That's not at all what I mean. I just mean there are some benefits because you're not being distracted while you're working at home like you are at the office. Performance improvement of performance measurements. I do have another poll actually. My poll is just about small, it's about breaks. How many of you are taking small breaks throughout the day? And I guess another question I probably could have asked you was, how um, is that beneficial? Do you see it? Do you see it being beneficial to you? So you can just answer that on your own. My assumption is it does help. It does help you kind of get refocused and stay, committed and doing your job. So, all right. So here's the results. 73% of you say yes, you take breaks. 3% of you say you don't, and 24 say sometimes you do. And I think I find myself in the sometimes category a lot of the time, but I do think it's important that you do take breaks. It's important. Um, we'll move. So
We had
the
some interesting comments. One
yeah,
was that Kathy didn't realize how student driven her job really is. So I guess that may mean, the students coming in and out, or working with the students. And Wilson had said that he didn't. He noticed that working from home allows him a lot more time to stay on task, actually.
yep,
So he's not socializing with the people that he works with. He's able to focus more on what he's doing at home. So
yep. That's exactly right. So I think I have another slide here later that talks a little more about that. It's a benefit of working from home. And it's kind of near the end a little bit, but there are some benefits, and that is one of them. So that's actually great to hear. So some of the challenges, a lot of stress. We all feel stress. We all have anxiety of getting our job and performance. Remote workers tend to have a stress, um, higher stress as when they're working from home than their counterparts in the office. They also have higher levels of anxiety during their workday. And I tend to believe that it's really part of, I think many of you will probably experience these kind of results, to be a little more stressed out at work, at home, simply because you're not comfortable with it. You're not familiar with it yet. And so I think if this lasts for any, length of real long time, um, you'll notice that stress will probably decrease. Um, but a lot of it's going to be just the nature of it not being familiar and comfortable to you. Um, the other one is remote workers tend to procrastinate things to the task, to the deadline, more than the office workers. While 70% of those who were surveyed in this felt like interactions with their coworkers is really important to them. And so when I say earlier about not being able to say no to your coworkers, and that's something you should do to be able to stay on task, it's very true. However, there does need to be interaction with your coworkers. And so as administrators for districts and organizations, see if there's opportunities you can do so the coworkers are interacting with each other, but make sure it's also something that's helpful, that is useful, that it's not just for the sake of talking. There's actually some real purpose behind those meetings. So some of the benefits, this is what I was kind of referring to before, is when you're in the office, on average, you spend about 55 minutes of office workers talking about non-working issues or topics. And a lot of us, I looked at the number originally, I'm like, that's not possible. But then I kind of thought about it, I'm like, that's probably possible. It's probably something like that. They're really, it's kind of the benefit of being able to work with a bunch of people, is to talk, have friendly relationships. At work, remote workers spend, 29 minutes on average talking about non-working topics. Managers, here's another distraction. Office managers, um, the research shows that they are talking to their employees 70 minutes each day, taking up the time, whereas when you're remote, it's about 10 minutes a day. So there's some real benefits of being home, where you can spend less time focused or less time focusing on things that don't really pertain to your job, and more time focusing on getting your job and tasks done. So that's a real benefit there. So some of the things, suggestions that I have for you is, follow your employer guidelines and rules. I have a lot of suggestions, a lot of ideas of stuff, and you've seen it, you'll have access to all of them. But I have to just put a caveat on there that your district or your organization's rules for remote work supersede mine. So mine are suggestions, but if they have some, defined things that they're saying to do, please adhere to those rather than mine. But if there's any administrators out there that see anything that I've been talking about, they want to implement, fantastic, thumbs up. I would strongly encourage there to be some movement within this time where we're all trying to adjust to working from home. And so if there are some things you've learned that you can change and add to help your remote workers, to help your teachers, that would be fantastic. Again, make sure, one of the things that's really important is I learned this early in my career. I thought when I started working from home, I remember I didn't dress well. I dressed like in jeans or pajamas, or, I didn't shower or whatever. I just didn't really pay much attention to it. I just thought I'm working from home. No one's going to see me. What does it matter? Well, it actually does. Research has shown that when you dress like you normally do going into the office, but you're working from home, you are more productive in your job at home. So I would definitely suggest, getting ready just like you normally do, shave, put on your, if you wear shirt and tie, great, or, collar shirt or dress, or, whatever it is you do, make sure you do the same thing when you're working from home. It really does help you do and perform your job better. The other thing is make sure you safeguard data. If you are taking data from the office, make sure it's safeguarded. Make sure you're doing all you can to protect that data. And then how to maintain equipment and software. If there's anything if you're borrowing or the school's giving you a laptop, make sure you're doing all you can to lock it down, to turn it off, to put passwords, to keep it safe. Make sure it's put someplace where no one can take it. Just stuff like that. It's really important that you follow your employer guidelines and rules. As a remote worker, I felt like what are some of the benefits I've had, and I think I want to share some of those with you. I'm gonna look at another. Um, I do have a question though. Um, this poll here is about um, you get more work done at home than you do work. I don't know why this popped in my head, but I really was quite interested to know the results of this one, um, to see how people feel about that. And so, um, and mainly the idea here, the question is in itself realizing that it's not a bad thing to be working from home. There are some benefits to working from home, and we've talked about those, about distractions being probably one of the main ones. But there are some real benefits of working from home. So that is really interesting. Let me share these results with you.
One of our managers came on to the Q&A and I saw it a little late, but she said that, she can help reduce anxiety by ensuring her team is managed well and organized, and that they have goals to accomplish. So I think that means, that's part of, her communicating with them while they're working at home, while they're not
Yeah.
able to be in the office together.
Yeah, it's really important that managers continue to manage their employees. Um, Employees could feel like, oh, no one's over my shoulders now, and not that they necessarily need to feel that way, but they may be a little more relaxed. But as a manager, your goal from a manager would not be to make sure they're working right with an iron fist. That would not be the objective. The objective would be make sure they're getting their task and goals accomplished, right? Make sure that they're getting the same support that you gave them when they were in the office. But try and be helpful to them in any way possible to help them, accomplish their goals. That's really the a big part of managing. So I totally agree. I'm glad you said that. Um, the I think I had another. Here's a poll that I wanted to know about was some of the challenges you feel like you're having. I want to know what challenge, like I may not have covered everything in this, so I apologize. I just kind of came up with thoughts on my own. There could be other challenges you may have, like family could be one. I mean, there's unexpected things that happen too. So I noticed in here, there's quite a few other questions. And so again, I apologize. I was trying to get some information back. Um, so it's really interesting to see a lot of it is being distracted, and I can definitely see that there's a lot of that. And then the other one is other. I would love for those of you who said other, would you mind in the chat expressing what that other is? I would love to know, and I apologize for not having ability for you to write that in, but if you could just write in the chat what your other challenges are that you have from working from home, that would be very helpful, I think, to the group. And we'll get these results out as well too, but that would be very helpful if you wouldn't mind putting that in there. There's still results are still coming in, so I don't want to quite end it yet because I think this is kind of an important part of for all of you of what you're all feeling and what are some of the distractions and challenges you're facing. I think that's an important part to know. One, to know that you're not alone, that everyone kind of has the same issues, right, or similar issues to you. And two, it helps you realize that there may be some things you could do to offset that, to change that, right, that challenge you're having. And so
One
um
one thing, Sam, that wasn't on your list, but some people say that the internet that they have at home is not like what they have at work. So it's a lot slower. They don't have as good a connection. That can be a bad thing.
that can be, and that is, I wish there was something I could do about that. But yeah, that is a challenge. Definitely internet is typically worse than work, that's for sure. Um, so again, I mean, maybe if there's any information you can access that you can bring home with you, that if you're trying to access things from the district, maybe there's some things you can just download and use. That could be an idea. But I wish there was something else I could do there for you. So you could look at like talking to your internet provider and see if they'll give you a deal as a teacher, as an education, and see if they'll give you some kind of boost up um, your internet. My wife and I did that, and it actually cost us like $10 more a month for like double the speed. We did that like 6 months ago. We had no idea, but it literally was like $10 a month, and it doubled our speed. So you may want to just call them and ask them. So
Seems like
um,
there's also a problem a lot with not having access to files and things that they need, which I can understand. If the school set up that those things are only allowed to be accessed in the school on in
yeah.
school offices and such.
Well, and this is where the changes that are happening with school districts, administrators, and the decisions that you have to make, you have to consider those things, right? Like historically, it's not been imperative, or there's not been a real reason why they need to have access to that information at home, but now there is. And so as a policy, you administrators should probably to get together. You probably already talked about this already as well, but that may be something you may want to take into consideration and see how you can provide access to the your remote workers, your teachers, and there's different ways to do it. There's VPNs that you can access where they log into the system instead of taking stuff from them. They could just access and see it. There's lots of ways that you can do that. So I would look at maybe seeing what you could do to help them access that information. It's a great question. So some of the other things as being remote workers, I'm going to see really quickly if I have another. Oh, so here, I'm going to do another one is um, it's the benefits of working from home. So I was actually just kind of interested to know. what benefits you have. So if you wouldn't mind telling me again some of those benefits that you feel like you do get by remote work, and then again, if there are things that I didn't say, which I know that's going to be the case, if you wouldn't mind writing those into your comments as well to the chat, again, that would be helpful for everyone because we'll take this information, the data, and we'll share it with everyone so everyone can see what those are. But I think it's important that you obviously see there are some benefits to it, and hoping that not only does it just like help improve performance, but what I really would like after out of this discussion is that you, one, know that you can do it, and two, that you enjoy doing it, that it doesn't have to be just a burden that because of the coronavirus, because of being secluded, that you can't enjoy what you do. And I would strongly encourage you to do all you can to enjoy it, right? To really actually like doing it, because eventually you'll be back in the office. You'll be there anyways, but in the interim, do all you can to really enjoy the work and getting things done in your job. So I'm going to end this poll. There's a few more people. You want to hurry and go and answer that poll? That'd be great. So I end the poll, and here are the results of that. So a lot of people are feeling like they get more done. They don't have to get dressed up, kind of start their day. There's no commute. The 53% of you feel like there's no commute as a real benefit, and that's totally true. One of the slides that I had in there was about the benefits of not commuting, and there are some real cost savings. You can imagine if any of you have to travel 30 minutes, 45 minutes to work every day, the benefits of the commuter traffic and the gas and the repairs. There's some real benefits for now that will help, they'll be nice for you. So
There's a good
then,
one. No office conflicts.
yeah, that does happen every so often. My wife works for a school district here in our county, and that's one of the things she likes is not having that conflict, and that struggle that happens. So let's move on to some more of the suggestions. Research. I feel like now is the time, as you are in your home and you're working, that there's a time now to do some improvement, some self-improvement, increase your knowledge and expertise. So I noticed as there's a gardener who is in our webinar, and I thought to myself, why would a gardener be on this webinar? But he's or she is at home. They're not working. And so I thought, well, let me just go look really quickly what kind of improvement skills or knowledge or something they can learn. So I went and found this American Public Gardens Association, and there's actually a professional development like certificate or something like that that they can actually get online. And I thought, how great is that for someone in gardening, which is so hands-on, right? And you just you can't do your job, you're not like a teacher where you can do stuff remotely even, right? You can't even do that, but maybe there's some skills they can learn. And so this is my point here, is just giving you an example of maybe look at some things that maybe you do know of certificates that are already out there and you just haven't had the time to do them. And maybe now is the time to do that. Maybe get permission from your manager to maybe do some looking at certain research on trying to how we can find some new skills. So the other one is the ASPA, the American Association of School Personnel Administrators. They have certification programs that they offer as well. So just you can look at some development parts for yourself that can help. And Steady as well offers our online training courses. We're actually creating some new programs, specifically the remote learning principles and techniques strategies. It's a new course we're developing to help teachers learn how to create an online experience for their students. And so as that rolls out, we'll make everyone aware of that and develop that and share that with everyone. But we also have our Full Rate Academy, which is best practices and strategies above implementation for administrators of school districts. And then on our website, these are all these three things here are links. So there's a link to administrators for resources for you as well. And again, when I share this with you, you'll be able to click on that and look a little further. There is one unique little thing. You see it on TV every once in a while. It's called Masterclass. And I think it's really interesting. There's so many things you can learn. And again, I'm not saying to do this instead of working, but there may be some things you can learn that can help you in your job. Masterclass is a great, it's an inexpensive way to learn some new things. One of my brother-in-law works for a local company here, and his organization has a corporate account, I guess, where they have access to all their employees can access the masterclass. So that's something you could potentially look at. But the other one too is LinkedIn Learning. I'm a real advocate for LinkedIn. There's a lot of resources in LinkedIn that come from professionals who are teaching each other how to do certain things. So if you want to learn about human resources, you want to learn about sales, you want to learn about social media, you want to learn about software management or software development, or how to use Excel, how to use Word, how to use PowerPoint. They have trainings on LinkedIn Learning that you could actually get to and learn. So kind of near the end, we have an online resources for remote workers, and I don't know if I want to share this with you and show you this. You'll have access to this here, but this is just a different resource that we compiled together for different assets or different programs you could potentially use. This is for collaboration. There's different things that different organizations right now are doing to help the remote working, workforce that's grown tremendously. There's a lot of online resources that you can have access to, and a lot of companies are doing what they can to help, either giving for free for a long period of time, or free for 30 days. Yeah, you are going to get this link in the PowerPoint presentation that'll be online. You'll be able to click on that, and these are all links. All of these things are links. I don't want to click on them all, but you can see they're all links here, and you'll be able to click on all of these and access the information. There's mental health, there's communities, and again, I haven't filled it all out entirely, so there's probably other things that many of you can think of that would be helpful to have for others. Maybe you've done your own research. I would really love if in the very top here you say, if you have any suggestions, please email them to me and I'll add them to this list. I'll be happy to share it with everyone. It's just a private, it's a shared document with anyone that has a link. And so anyone who clicks on that would be able to access it. So if you wanted to forward this webinar to someone, or the PDF of the webinar, they'll be able to click on that and still have access to it. So we're just trying to do what we can to help you out as much as we possibly can. So I want to thank you very much. And unless there are any questions, we'd love to answer anything we can, but thank you again for attending. You can reach me at my email, sam@steady.org, and be happy to help you. Kelly and Jessica and Jeff are all partners here with Steady, willing to help out as we can. And so I want to thank you very much for attending today's webinar, and look forward to talking to you soon. See you.
Can I just add real quick?
Oh, yeah.
That because a few people have asked, and I think Jessica just posted again, but yeah, you can go to steady.org/webinars to access this, and if you want to share it with other associates that, couldn't participate today or whatever, it should be up pretty quickly, at least by the end of the day.
Yeah, absolutely. We posted something a little earlier, but I've since changed a few things in there, so it may be a little different, but it's all the same data. Again, and if we do any updates, especially if we do any updates to this this link here, we'll make sure that it's updated on everything. So you'll always have access to the latest and greatest information from us all. So thanks again, everyone. Have a great day.